So first I will go with the FMC one. By default, the username and password for both as well as for your FTD and FMCs. By default, the username will be admin. And password will be with capital A, admin 123. So this is the username and this is your password.
That's for FMC.
Both of them, FMC and FTD, both of them, that's the same username by default. And another thing is that I said that if you have a DHCP server, automatically FMC will take it up the DHCP server. You see that? It has taken that IP address. So I need to change that one. So let's go ahead and do that one now. Admin 123 and bingo. So it will ask you to accept that. What do we say, like the IP yes. So it's just a user usage policy. So you have to change your password once you log in with your default. So if you're using below 6.7 version, it will not ask you for the password. Even if you give the same password, still it will accept. But from 6.7, you have to give a complicated password. So I will give like with the special characters also included. I will go with Moise at 123. Moise at 123. No, Moise 123. A password must meet the following criteria, at least 8 characters. Yes, I do have the 8 characters, one lowercase, one uppercase, one digit, yes, one special characters. No more than sequentially repeated character. I don't have any repeated characters in this one. All right, so it's asking for your fully qualified domain name. If you remember, I have said that fmc1.sysable.com. Configure IP address via DHCP or manual. So now it is asking you to DHCP or manual. Type in manual because I need to change that one. You remember my IP address is 172.16.1.16, but here it's already taken the 150 address. So we just say manual. Enter an IPv4 address for the management, that is 172.16.1.16. Subnet is the same thing, so I will just click on enter. And the default gateway 172.16.1.254. And again, I do have a DNS server, yes, 172.16.1.10. And there is another IP DNS server that will be 150.1.7.2. Okay, that should be with commas 172.16.1.10, comma 150.1.7.2. And it's asking you for the NTP server. If you remember, I do have a Windows Server 2016 running, which is also acting as an NTP server. So I will give the same address. And it will give you the summary of your configuration. Is that correct or not? Please check it. If it is not correct, just enter no. If it is correct, just enter yes. So it's correct. So I will click on yes. Now let's go to FMC2 and do the same thing. Admin and admin 123. All right, accept the user policy, say yes, and enter the password. That will be Moise123 with capital M. And the fully qualified domain name FMC2 with sysable.com. IPv4 170, sorry, manual 172.16.1.17, 255, 172.16.1.254, and 172.16.1.10, 150.1.7.2, and the NTP server also 172.16.1.10, and the summary is correct here. It will just take a brief moment, like 1 or 2 minutes, and it will come up. So let's go back to our FTDs now. I'm back to FTD1, same thing, admin 123. I'll just increase the size to 50. Now it's pretty good. Now with here on the FTD, you don't have any problem. You can give the same password like admin123, no issues. But with the FMC, it does not accept that one. So I will provide the same password, that is admin123 with capital A. It has already taken now. Now let's go ahead and configure that one. Yes, I want to configure that one. By default, it is showing you W over here. You see that? That means by default, yes. Click on yes. I don't want to configure IPv6. Yes, I don't want to configure now IPv6. And by default, you see that it is asking you to configure the IP address manually. So I will take it manually. And I said that by default, the IP address will be 192.168.45.45. That's what it is using, both of them. So the IP address will be 172.16.1.19. Subnet mask is the same. And the default gateway will be 1.254. Fully qualified domain name ftd1.sysable.com. And the DNS name, again the same thing, 172.16.1.10 and 150.1.7. So 150.1.7.2 is my ISP DNS, okay? And the domain name is sysable.com. And it will just go ahead and check for the connections and everything. If everything works fine, it will give you a summary, hopefully. Now, after this configuration is pretty important now. Manage the device locally. If you say yes, it will go into the CLI mode. If you say no, it will go into the platform mode. That means we are able to control this sensor using the FMC. So always say no. If you say yes, then you are not able to secure your configure your firewall at layer 7. So let's, yeah, you have to be careful over there now. Let's go ahead with the FTD2 now. Do the same thing, admin123. So whenever it says you have to keep on entering. So just press and hold the space until you see this. Please enter yes. Once you enter yes, again I'm using admin123, same password with capital A. And now, yes, I want to configure IPv4. I don't want to configure IPv6. I want to configure it manually. That should be 172.16.1.20. 172.16.1.20. Default gateway will be 172.16.1.254. ftd2.sysable.com. DNS name will be 172.16.1.10. IP addresses 150.1.7.2. Domain name will be sysable.com. So once that has been done, again it will ask you for the CLI mode or the different mode. So once it is been asked you the CLI mode and the different mode, it will ask you the routed mode or transparent mode. So I'm going with the routed mode. That's how your now total configuration is done. So once you say that it is on the routed mode or transparent mode, your FTD configuration is done. And now again, it is asking me to manage locally. I say no, and wait until you see one more thing, that is configure firewall mode. FTD1 has been configured, so I will go back to my management PC. And I will say that ping ftd1.sysable.com. I should be able to ping here. So I'm not able to ping yet because I did not turn on this switch over here. So there is no connectivity to my physical server. So that's the reason it is not able to connect. So just give it a 1 or 2 minutes time and it should come back. So once that is been back, so we will see that. Now configuring the firewall mode as a routed mode. Yes, both of them I am configuring as a routed mode. So that was your configuration. Now the another thing to verify is that whether my FMC is running or not. I will just ping fmc1.sysable.com and I should be able to ping. And if I go ahead with the second one too, I should be also able to ping. Now let's open the browser. It should be HTTPS. Don't show this message. It should be HTTPS fmc1.sysable.com. Click on advanced, click on accept this, and you should get the login page now. So if you get this login page, that means your computation was successful. So I will go ahead with admin and the password will be mois123 hash with capital M. So I'm using version 7. The reason is that it has a good look. So WebGUI has a very good look on this one. So that's the reason I'm using the 7.0. So the latest version has a good WebGUI while compared to the previous one. Just give it some time. So until then, let's go ahead and also access the FTD one. I did not do anything. I want to see whether there is an firepower device manager installed or not on this software. So let me check that one. Okay, so you see that my FTDs came up. So you see that the arrow mark, that means you are in the platform mode. If I say that show network now, it will show you the details of your network now. See that? What are the details? If anything changes, then you can make the changes. Now, for some reason, if you want to make a changes for the IP address, you can say that configure IPv4, configure network, because I want to change the management network, configure network. You see that IPv4, because I'm going to use the IPv4 manually, and provide your IP address 172.16.1. Maybe 16 is the one I have used, and subnet mask with default gateway. So in case if your management IP address has been changed, then you can go ahead and you can use this command to change that one. So first you will say that if you should be configuring. Next, I want to configure the network, which is an IPv4, and I want to do it manually. And that IP address is this one with the subnet mask of this one, and this is your default gateway. All right, if you want to change your IP address, so this is the syntax for that one. But currently I'm not changing anything, so just remove that one. And HTTP, don't have anything. If you remember that when we want to enable the ASDM, we will say that HTTP server. You see that we don't have any command. So let me go ahead and access the FTD one via GUI. I did not check anything. This is the first time I am checking. Sysable.com. Because the firepower device manager is already been installed on the FTD, so I just need to get that software. So if I am able to access the GUI, means I might be able to get that software. If I'm not able to access that GUI, means I need to find that if it's available on the box, how we can access it. If it is not available on the box, then you have to download it from the Cisco website. All right, so once we get to the Cisco Firepower Management System now, you see that it is asking you to register with your smart account. So it is asking you to paste your token over here. So if you remember, we have already discussed about that. So whenever you're registering any device, you have to generate a token in your smart account and you have to paste it over here. And you have to make sure that FMC is having the internet access so that it can communicate with your account. Currently, we are going with the 90-day evaluation period. So click on save. So once you click on save, so by default, it is taking you on the under the devices, and this is where you will be adding your FTDs, all of the FTDs. This is where you're going to add. So click on device management. So by default, you will land into this page. Now, if you want to go to the dashboard, let's go to the overview, and you see that there are the dashboard options. We'll come back to that one later. So this is the confirmation that your FMC is up and running. So let's go ahead and do the same thing for the FMC2. So admin with mois123 with capital N. Uh, it's taking time. Let it take. All right, so let's do the same thing. Evaluation period, click on save. And that was your installation of FMC and FTD.